Hello and welcome to quiz class. Today we have 100 questions on nostalgia, and we will be looking at 6 different categories. Here are our quiz class awards. Let us know how you ranked in the comments. And our 6 categories are events, consumerism, movies, music, pop culture, and humanities. So let's begin. Question number 1. We will be looking at events. What event happened in 1948? Trinidad and Tobago declare independence, Malta declares independence, or Israel declares independence? Israel declares independence. What organization was formed in 1948? NATO, World Veterans Federation, or World Vision? NATO. Which of these passed away in 1953? John F. Kennedy, Joseph Stalin, or Mahatma Gandhi? Joseph Stalin. What was the significance of the Brown versus Board of Education ruling? It allowed women to vote, it ended legalized school segregation, or lowered taxes on basic needs? It ended legalized school segregation. What was the Cuban Missile Crisis? Missiles that the US stored in Cuba went missing, the Soviet Union invaded Cuba, or the discovery of Soviet ballistic missile sites in Cuba? The discovery of Soviet ballistic missile sites in Cuba. What event triggered the Montgomery bus boycott? Rosa Parks refused to surrender her seat, Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech, or Malcolm X's message to the grassroots? Rosa Parks refused to surrender her seat. What did Egypt nationalize in 1956? The Suez Canal, the Great Pyramid of Giza, or the Great Sphinx? The Suez Canal. Which country successfully launched the first artificial satellite in 1957? The United States, the Soviet Union, or China? The Soviet Union. What was the purpose of the Freedom Summer Campaign? To demand voting rights through nonviolent protests, to play music and share the love, or to register Black voters and establish educational opportunities? To register Black voters and establish educational opportunities. What happened during the Prague Spring? Czechoslovakia embarked on reform efforts towards a greater democracy, it declared independence, or it celebrated 100 years of independence? It embarked on reform efforts towards greater democracy. What was the Cultural Revolution in China? A civilian uprising initiated by the US, the Civil War leading to a recession, or widespread social change initiated by Mao Zedong? A widespread social change initiated by Mao Zedong. What event occurred after the death of Joseph Stalin? The construction of the Berlin Wall, Khrushchev taking over as the leader of the USSR, or the Cuban Missile Crisis? Khrushchev taking over as the leader of the USSR. What event occurred in Tibet in 1959? Tibetans revolt against China, the assassination of the Tibetan president, or the Warsaw Uprising? Tibetans revolt against China. Which Civil Rights Act forbids discrimination on the basis of race, color, religion, gender, or national origin? The Civil Rights Act of 1948, the Civil Rights Act of 1964, or the Civil Rights Act of 1981? The Civil Rights Act of 1964. Which president signed Executive Order 9981 in July 1948, effectively abolishing segregation in the U.S. military? Harry Truman, John F. Kennedy, or Lyndon Johnson? Harry Truman. And let's move on to consumerism. What did the Kindle e-reader enable people to carry an electric form of? Musical instruments, art supplies, or countless books? Countless books. What was the first instant picture camera introduced in 1948? The Kodak IPM-1, the Canon 48, or the Polaroid Model 95? The Polaroid Model 95. Which toy became an international craze in 1958? The hula hoop, Game Boy, or Tamagotchi? The hula hoop. Who designed the Barbie doll? Ole Kirk Christensen, Edwin Land, or Ruth Handler? Ruth Handler. Question 20. Which toy demonstrated basic physics principles when walked downstairs? The G.I. Joe, the digital pet, or the Slinky? The Slinky. What was the Frisbee initially marketed as? Flying plate, disco disc, or Pluto platter? Pluto platter. Who developed the interlocking plastic bricks known as Lego? Roy J. Plunkett, Wham-O, or Ole Kirk Christensen? Ole Kirk Christensen. Which company designed and develops the PlayStation? Regency Electronics, Hasbro and Panasonic, or Sony Entertainment? Sony Computer Entertainment. Which Swiss engineer invented Velcro? George de Mestral, Harvey Ball, or Chester Velcro? George de Mestral. What did Roy J. Plunkett discover in 1946? The credit card, Teflon coating, or the Easy Bake Oven? Teflon coating. What was the Volkswagen Beetle popular for? Its speed and performance, its luxury features and comfort, or its distinctive shape and reliability? Its distinctive shape and reliability. What has the Barbie doll inspired children to do? Become obsessive about fashion and beauty, explore imaginative play and express themselves creatively, or learn new languages and cultures? Explore imaginative play and express themselves creatively. What did the Sony Walkman transform? the way people listened to music on the go, the way people watched movies at home, or the way people cooked and prepared food? The way people listened to music on the go. What did the Nokia 3310 become in the early 2000s? A cultural phenomenon, the first phone to be sold for 20 years in a row, or the first communication device in space? A cultural phenomenon. Who conceived the idea of the Diners Club card? Frank McNamara, French artist Harvey Ball, or Kenner Products? Frank McNamara. And let's move on to movies. Which movie is a dramatic adaptation of James Joyce's novel? Castaway, The Martian, or Alt? Alt. Which movie depicts bikers traveling through the American Southwest? 1408, Castaway, or Easy Rider? Easy Rider. Which movie recreates the D-Day invasion during World War II? All Is Lost, The Longest Day, or Buried? The Longest Day. Which movie is a Shakespearean tragedy? Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, Romeo and Juliet, or Moon? Romeo and Juliet. Which movie is a 1963 romantic adventure set in England? Tom Jones, Locke, or The Road? Tom Jones. Which movie is a musical adaptation of a Charles Dickens novel? Oliver, Locke, or The Secret in Their Eyes? Oliver. Which movie is a historical drama set in Hawaii? The Road, Hawaii, or 1408? Hawaii. Which movie is an emotionally intense marriage drama? Romeo and Juliet, All Is Lost, or Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf? Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf? Which movie is a musical comedy set in New York City? Moon, Easy Rider, or Hello, Dolly? Hello, Dolly. Question 40. Which movie explores swinging lifestyle and polyamorous relationships in suburban America? Those Magnificent Men in Their Flying Machines, Bob and Ted and Carol and Alice, or The Secret in Their Eyes? Bob and Ted and Carol and Alice. Which movie is a Disney fantasy musical about a magical nanny taking care of two mischievous siblings? Locke, Mary Poppins, or Life of Pi? P. Mary Poppins. Which movie is an adventure drama set aboard a U.S. Navy gunboat patrolling the Ganges River in China prior to World War II? The Sand Pebbles, Spartacus, or Lawrence of Arabia? The Sand Pebbles. Which movie follows a team tasked to destroy enemy fortifications in Greece during World War II? All is Lost, The Guns of Navarone, or Castaway? The Guns of Navarone. Which movie is a scandal-ridden romance loosely based on Howard Hughes's life and business dealings? Mary Poppins, The Carpetbaggers, or Life of Pi? The Carpetbaggers. Which movie is a historical epic about a Roman slave leading a major uprising against the Republic? Tom Hardy, Spartacus, or The Martian? Spartacus. And let's move on to music. Which song expresses loyalty and devotion to a loved one? Landslide, Stand By Me, or Will You Love Me Tomorrow? Stand By Me. Which song is a dreamy rockabilly hit about romantic daydreams? It's Only Make Believe, Blueberry Hill, or Both Sides Now? It's Only Make Believe. Which song is a lively rhythm and blues tune celebrating dancing and having fun? Both Sides Now, Good Rockin' Tonight, or It's Only Make Believe? Good Rockin' Tonight. Which song is a Motown classic about anxiously waiting for mail carrying good news? Surfing USA, My Girl, or Mr. Postman? Mr. Postman. Which song is an iconic surf rock anthem praising California beach life? Surfing USA, Blowin' in the Wind, or Landslide? Surfin' USA. Which song showcases affection for a cherished lover? My Girl, Respect, or Good Rockin' Tonight? My Girl. Which song is an empowering soul anthem centered around respect and independence in relationships? Good Rockin' Tonight, Respect, or Over the Rainbow? Respect. Which song is a comforting, uplifting ballad often interpreted as supporting someone going through difficult times? Light My Fire by The Doors, Both Sides Now by Joni Mitchell, or Hey Jude by The Beatles? Hey Jude by The Beatles. Which song is a Baroque pop masterpiece characterized by haunting organ melodies and poetic lyrics? Whiter Shade of Pale, Light My Fire, or Hurt by Johnny Cash? Whiter Shade of Pale by Procol Harum. Which song is an anti-war protest song targeting privilege in draft dodging? Fortunate Son, Bridge Over Troubled Water, or All Right Now? Fortunate Son. Which song is an optimistic anthem suggesting acceptance and inner strength amidst adversity? Let It Be by the Beatles, Yesterday by the Beatles, or Imagine by John Lennon? Let It Be by the Beatles. Which song is a progressive epic combining mystical poetry, acoustic guitar passages, and heavy metal riffs? Superstition, Stairway to Heaven, or Respect? Stairway to Heaven by Led Zeppelin. Which song is a groove-laden funk classic cautioning against misguided fear inspired by irrational thinking? Superstition, Respect, or Hey Jude? Superstition by Stevie Wonder. Which song is an upbeat rock and roll cover of a 1940 pop standard featuring piano prominently? Mr. Postman, Landslide, or Blueberry Hill? Blueberry Hill. Which song evokes strong feelings of nostalgia for simpler times? Will You Love Me Tomorrow, Over the Rainbow, or Stand By Me? Over the Rainbow. And let's move on to pop culture. When did Superman debut in Action Comics? Number 1, 1938, 1955, or 1981? (1938). How many times did Elvis Presley appear on The Ed Sullivan Show between September 1956 and January 1957? Once, twice, or 3 times? 3 times. On which TV show did the Beatles make their American television debut? American Bandstand, The Ed Sullivan Show, or X Factor? The Ed Sullivan Show. When did Saturday morning cartoons begin airing regularly? The early 40s, the early 60s, or the early 80s? The early 1960s. Which band formed in April 1962 and helped define blues rock? The Rolling Stones, Nirvana, or Linkin Park? The Rolling Stones. Who earned 2 Oscar nominations for Best Actor posthumously? James Dean, Chubby Checker, or John Glenn? James Dean. When did Motown Records emerge in Detroit? 1938, 1959, or 1971? 1959. Which dance craze swept the globe in 1960? Breakdancing, hip-hop, or the twist? The twist. Which car burst onto the scene in 1959 and left a lasting impact on auto enthusiasts? The Chevy Camaro, the Ford Mustang, or the Mini Cooper? The Mini Cooper. What was General Motors' answer to European sports cars in 1953? The Corvette, the Camaro, or the Aveo? The Corvette. Who did NASA successfully launch aboard Friendship 7 on February 20th, 1962? Buzz Aldrin, John Glenn, or Neil Armstrong? John Glenn. Which TV show aired from October 3rd, 1955 to September 25th, 1959 and featured Walt Disney's lovable rodent mascot? Sesame Street, Looney Tunes, or the Mickey Mouse Club? The Mickey Mouse Club. Where did the Summer of Love unfold in 1969, attracting thousands of hippies? San Francisco, New York City, or Los Angeles? San Francisco. Which TV show set in Nevada aired from September 1959 until January 1973 and chronicled the lives of the Cartwright clan? Bonanza, Gunsmoke, or The Lone Ranger? Bonanza. What instrument did Bill Clinton play on the Arsenio Hall show to appeal to young voters? The guitar, the piano, or the saxophone? The saxophone. And let's move over to humanities. What are the universal themes explored in Samuel Beckett's Godot? Waiting, hope, and despair, adventure, mystery, and discovery, or love, betrayal, and revenge? Waiting, hope, and despair. What did the Dead Sea Scrolls shed light on? Judaism and Christianity's origins, the history of Egypt, or the ancient Greek civilization? Judaism and Christianity's origins. For what did Albert Camus win the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1957? His contributions to French literature, his work in physics, or his achievements in mathematics? His contributions to French literature. What did James Baldwin explore in his books Notes of a Native Son? The history of ancient civilizations, race relations in the US, or European history during the Renaissance? Race relations in the US. Who wrote The Silent Spring in 1962? Martin Luther King Jr., Rachel Carson, or Albert Camus? Rachel Carson. What did Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Have a Dream speech galvanize? Scientific research in the field of medicine, civil rights movements across the globe, or literary movements? Civil rights movements across the globe. Why did Jean-Paul Sartre decline the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1964? Lack of interest in the field, disagreement with the Nobel Prize Selection Committee, or concerns about accepting literary awards and its political implications? And it was concerns about accepting literary awards. What did Jürgen Habermas explore in Public Sphere? The impact of social media on public opinion, the history of political revolutions, or the evolution of public discourse? The evolution of public discourse. Who established UNESCO? The United Nations, John F. Kennedy, or Michelle Obama? The United Nations. What was the main focus of the Second Vatican Council? Reevaluating church doctrine and practices, promoting scientific research, or advocating for religious conservation? Reevaluating church doctrine and practices. What did Simone de Beauvoir argue in The Second Sex? Men and women are inherently equal, gender roles are biologically determined, or women experience oppression due to lack of self-determination? Women experience oppression due to lack of self-determination. What did Roland Barthes propose in writing degree 0. Language shapes reality. Literature should be purely entertaining, or oppression leads to war. Language shapes reality. What did Claude Levi-Strauss analyze in Trist's Tropics? Asian cultures, European histories, or indigenous South American societies? Indigenous South American societies. What did Marshall McLuhan famously declare in Understanding Media? Media has no influence on cognition, technology is detrimental to society, or the medium is the message. The medium is the message. What did Michel Foucault critique in Madness and Civilization? Historical accuracy in response to madness, the concept of civilization, or discriminatory treatment of marginalized groups? Discriminatory treatment of marginalized groups. And let's move over to our mystery round. What event in 1957 marked the beginning of the space age and sparked fears of Soviet technological superiority? The launch of Nokia 8520, the Soviet Union's launch of Sputnik 1, or the Cuban Missile Crisis? The Soviet Union's launch of Sputnik 1. Which British rock band gained international fame in the 60s with their catchy tunes and charismatic personalities? The Beatles, Nirvana, or The Pill? The Beatles. What was the duration of the Vietnam War? 1 year, 10 years, or 20 years? 20 years. What symbol of women's liberation and sexual freedom was introduced in the early 60s by Mary Quant? The pill, the miniskirt, or thigh highs? The miniskirt. What ill-fated attempt by the CIA to invade Cuba and overthrow its communist government occurred in April '61? The Bay of Dogs invasion, the Bay of Whales invasion, or the Bay of Pigs invasion? The Bay of Pigs invasion. What massive civil rights protest took place in August of '63 and drew an estimated 250,000 people? Woodstock, the Summer of Freedom, or the March on Washington? The March on Washington. Which literary movement emerged in the late 40s and 50s, characterized by its focus on individual freedom and spontaneity? The Romantic movement, the Beat generation, or the Renaissance? The Beat generation. What was the social and cultural revolution that took place in the 60s, characterized by opposition to mainstream values? The women's lib movement, the civil rights movement, or the counterculture movement? The counterculture movement. Where was the legendary 3-day concert known as the Woodstock Music Festival held in August of '69? San Francisco, California, Bethel, New York, or Austin, Texas? Bethel, New York. Who became the first human being to set foot on the moon on July 20th, 1969? Buzz Aldrin, Neil Armstrong, or Yuri Gagarin? Neil Armstrong. And bonus question, what was the competition between the US and the Soviet Union to explore outer space and demonstrate technological prowess called? Let us know the answer in the comments, and along with how you ranked with our quiz class awards. Thanks for playing this quiz. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.